You have power over your brain chemicals. You're controlling them right now, in fact, but you don't know how because it's so natural. This video series explains your power over your happy brain chemicals so you can turn them on in new ways and avoid unhappy chemicals. First, you'll learn the special job of each happy chemical: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphin, and the job of your unhappy chemical, cortisol. Then you'll learn about the neural pathways that control your brain chemicals. You'll find out how you built your neural pathways and how you can build new ones to turn on your happy chemicals in new ways. When you feel good, your brain is releasing dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, or endorphin. It's easy to see what turns them on when you know how they work in animals. You may think animals enjoy a constant flow of happy chemicals as they bask in the sun, but in fact, animals struggle constantly to survive. Their happy chemicals turn on when they see a way to meet a survival need. Social needs are essential to survival, so they're central to the story of our happy chemicals. Each happy chemical has a special job to do. Dopamine creates the great feeling that a reward is at hand. When a monkey sees a juicy mango at the top of a tree, dopamine triggers the good feeling that a need is about to be met. That motivates the monkey to climb the tree, and more dopamine is triggered each time the monkey sees the mango get closer. When the luscious treat is all eaten, dopamine stops because it's already done its job. Now the monkey scans the world for another dopamine stimulator, which will meet another need. Oxytocin creates the good feeling of trust. Reptiles release this chemical while mating, but the rest of the time they don't trust their fellow reptile. Mammals live in groups, so we need to keep stimulating oxytocin in order to tolerate each other. Mammals surge with oxytocin during childbirth. But that oxytocin is gone in a short time, and more must be stimulated with touch. That's why mammals lick or cuddle their babies. It would be nice to enjoy oxytocin all the time, but anyone close enough to touch you is close enough to bite you. So the mammal brain makes careful decisions about when to release the oxytocin. Serotonin creates the good feeling of social importance. No one likes to admit they enjoy social importance, so it helps to know that animals work hard to raise their status in a group because serotonin makes it feel good. This animal research is widely ignored because we like to think nature is warm and fuzzy. But understanding your animal urge for social importance helps you make peace with your serotonin. In the state of nature, a mammal who reaches for a banana or a mating opportunity can easily get bitten by a group mate. Avoiding pain is the brain's top priority, but if you never reached for a reward, you would starve and your genes would get wiped out. We could not be descended from animals who never asserted themselves. Natural selection built a brain that constantly compares itself to others and rewards you with serotonin when you see yourself in the stronger position. When a mammal sees that it's in the weaker position, cortisol is released, and it withdraws to avoid pain. Fear of conflict is part of being a social animal. And serotonin promotes survival by making you feel good when you take the chances necessary to meet your needs. But serotonin is soon metabolized, and you have to find a one-up position again to trigger more. You may hate this in others, but when you seek the one-up position, you feel like you're just trying to survive. Instead of hating our urge for social importance, you can feel good about how hard we work to restrain this impulse while still trying to get some serotonin. You don't have to be king of the world to stimulate it. In fact, if you were king of the world, you'd face the same dilemma as everyone else. Your serotonin would be quickly metabolized, and you'd have to do more to get more. But every time you tried, you'd risk getting bitten by rivals who want your banana, and you'd lose oxytocin by undermining trust bonds. No one has a free pass to serotonin because the brain doesn't work that way. It only releases the good feeling when you gain an advantage. This is why people are so fond of moral superiority. It stimulates serotonin without open conflict. Notice how often people stimulate their serotonin by calling attention to their moral superiority. I mean your people as well as other people. It's not easy being mammal. Endorphin is the brain chemical you've heard about in the context of runner's high. Endorphin creates a euphoria that masks pain. Real physical pain is what triggers it. Endorphin didn't evolve for us to inflict pain on ourselves to enjoy it. It evolved to promote survival. For example, a gazelle can run for its life even with a lion's teeth in its flesh. Endorphin masks pain for about 20 minutes. In that time, the gazelle either retreats to heal its wounds or dies in a state of oblivion. Masking pain all the time would not promote survival. Pain is the valuable signal that an injury needs protection. Endorphin is there for emergencies, not for partying. Fortunately, you get a trickle when you get up and move, and also from a belly laugh. We can be grateful that we have this regular trickle and also that we have an emergency backup system instead of expecting to surge with endorphin all the time. Now that you understand these chemicals, you can see why we're so eager to stimulate them and also why it's hard to do that. To make things worse, a dip in your happy chemicals makes your cortisol more noticeable. Happy chemicals don't last. They're quickly metabolized, and you may feel like something is wrong when a happy chemical spurt ends, even if nothing is wrong. That's because your brain pays more attention to its cortisol alarm when it's not masked by happy chemicals. Cortisol is nature's threat signal. It makes you feel like you will die if you don't do something fast. Cortisol promotes survival by motivating action to prevent harm. When a child touches fire for the first time, cortisol creates a sense of urgency that pulls their hand out of the fire. Neurons connect when cortisol flows, which turns on the bad feeling sooner the next time you get near a fire. Cortisol pathways protect you from having to touch a hot stove twice. Anything relevant to past pain turns on your threatened feelings. Cortisol works by making you feel so bad that you do what it takes to make it stop. When a gazelle smells a lion, it does what it takes to relieve the threatened feeling, even though it would rather keep eating. Fortunately, you can rewire your happy chemicals to feel good in new ways. You can build a new dopamine pathway by stepping toward a goal. Any goal triggers the good feeling as you see yourself get closer. It's helpful to choose a long-term goal, a short-term goal, and a medium-term goal so you can always shift from one to another and keep stepping. You will train your brain to expect rewards instead of expecting to be disappointed. You can build a new oxytocin pathway by trusting in small steps. Withholding trust is natural because social disappointments build cortisol pathways that make trust feel dangerous. For more trust with less cortisol, take a small trusting step, enjoy the oxytocin, and then take another. Oxytocin circuits will build and you will find more opportunities to trust all around you. To build a new serotonin pathway, focus on the social importance you have instead of the social importance you lack. You may have learned that it's bad to think well of yourself, but you miss out on serotonin if you always put yourself in the one-down position. You may be doing that without knowing it. For example, you may long for a promotion, but fail to feel good when you get it, maybe denouncing the promotion for taking too long, and then starting to agonize over the next promotion. You may invoke the greater good when you put yourself down, but you end up blaming others and feeling bitter toward them. Your verbal brain speaks of equality, but your mammal brain keeps comparing and longing for the one-up position. You can find healthy ways to make peace with your mammalian urge for social importance instead of being bitter. For example, I compare myself to my ancestors and come out on top. And I always look for the advantages of the table I'm at instead of letting my inner mammal tell me I'm at the bad table. Endorphin is meant for emergencies, so building an endorphin circuit is not an option. If you expect to get a daily high from exercise, it will take more and more pain, which is a very bad survival strategy. Instead, enjoy many small trickles of endorphin by taking frequent movement breaks and making time to laugh. It takes a real belly laugh to trigger endorphin, and that can't be produced on cue, but you can make time in your life for things you think are funny. Our happy chemicals are not designed to turn on for no reason, so we are all on the lookout for healthy ways to stimulate them. That's easier to do when you build a new pathway. It takes courage to travel a small trail instead of the big old highway, but the trail leads to a better place, feeling good in the short run when you do things that are good for you in the long run. The most valuable skill you can have is self-soothing, the ability to calm yourself after an agitation. If you believe in your own self-soothing skills, you can deal with whatever comes along. Of course, many ways to soothe yourself can hurt you in the long run, and every self-soother loses its power over time, so it's essential to know how to wire in a new self-soothing skill. To feel the power of your self-soothing circuits, imagine you're a baboon chased by a lion and you save yourself by climbing a tree. That tree saved your life, and the neurochemical surge wires you to scan for trees whenever you feel threatened. Just seeing one makes you feel better. Then one day you see a poisonous snake in a tree. Now you don't feel safe anywhere, and you're constantly torn between one threat and another. You need a new self-soothing strategy, but there are no easy choices. Fortunately, you have been building self-soothing skills since your moment of birth. A newborn baby surges with cortisol because it has needs it can't meet, but when it hears its mother's footsteps, it starts to feel better even though it doesn't yet know what a foot is. Its dopamine turns on when it hears a sound that was linked to relief in its past experience, as limited as that was. As the years pass, each child experiences physical pain, social pain, and whatever relieves your distress in that moment wires you to expect relief from that. In puberty, your brain was full of myelin, and whatever relieved a threat at that time built a self-soothing superhighway. More highways came from your mirror neurons, which took in the self-soothing circuits of the people around you. Sometimes they're hard to make sense of, but they're easy to repeat once the circuit is built. Distraction is a popular self-soothing strategy because it works. Anything that absorbs your attention can divert electricity away from your threat circuits. That wires you to expect relief from more of that distractor. Of course, distraction doesn't solve the underlying problem, and a baboon would die if it stopped to smell the flowers with a lion in pursuit. But a big human cortex finds a new problem to solve as soon as it relieves the last one, so you can end up with an endless sense of threat. Distraction is one way to relieve it. The brain learns from whatever works. Whatever transforms a bad feeling into a good feeling builds a huge pathway. That's why your old self-soothing habits turn on so fast you don't even realize you felt threatened. You might insist you were not feeling threatened in that moment when electricity rushed into your old self-soothing circuit. It happens that fast. You have power over your self-soothing choices when you notice the moment when you turn them on. That makes threatened feelings more noticeable too, alas, but they feel less threatening now that you know they're just electricity flowing because it can. No matter what self-soothing strategy you use, it eventually loses its power because our brain habituates to old rewards. Your brain evolved to focus on unmet needs because that promotes survival. This is why new rewards have power while expected rewards lose their power. Habituation makes it hard to appreciate what you have and easy to end up with frustration. You can get more reward from your coffee or your glass of wine if you go without them on alternate days. You can increase your self-soothing power when you have a wide range of self-soothing skills to choose from. You can wire in a new skill by repeating it for 45 days. You can walk backwards for 2 minutes. You can read a novel standing up for 5 minutes. You can develop one of your talents for 10 minutes. You can research your next adventure while deeply inhaling your favorite smell. The next time you feel anxious or angry, you may not feel like walking backward while inhaling citrus oil. But if you do it for 45 days, your brain will start expecting to feel good instead of expecting to feel bad. My favorite new self-soothing skill is to watch a video in a foreign language while flailing my arms and legs. This distracts me so completely that it wipes the slate clean. And I discovered my next great alternative on a trip to Peru, a cocoa tea that you make from the shells of cocoa beans. Yes, it's a hot chocolate with no calories. So, what if you plan a new self-soothing skill and then find pizza and beer in your hand before you know how it got there? Just put it down and act on your new plan. Then put the pizza in the freezer and marinate a chicken in the beer. You will learn to seize the moment before your freezer fills with pizza if you keep committing to that new skill. It may not feel good at first, but gradually it will feel natural. You can feel good when you do things that are good for you.